Do you remember these images from Hurricanes Helene and Milton? And remember the millions of people who were trying to recover from this? Well, President Biden just put a price tag on fixing it all. $100 billion. That's about how much money President Biden wants Congress to give to about a dozen federal agencies to respond to and help the millions of Americans suffering from the fallout after those hurricanes, natural disasters, and other emergencies, past, present, and future. Biden sent this letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson last night outlining what multiple agencies need. You see, money to help disaster victims doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Congress budgets money every single year for each of those disaster response agencies. But when those natural disasters become too big and too costly, that money runs low. And guess what? After back-to-back devastating hurricanes just a few months ago, money has run low. You should also understand that disaster response isn't solved immediately. It takes years of funding to help the people and the cities recover from these things. The president can't just wave a magic wand and resupply that money on his own. The Constitution says Congress is in charge of the purse, and it's up to lawmakers to decide how much or how little the victims of these disasters will get. The president's job is to assess how much is needed and ask for the funds through what's called a supplemental budget request. And that's what Biden just did. The bulk of the money he's requesting, about $40 billion, would go to FEMA, specifically its disaster relief fund. That's the specific pot of money I talked about in these videos that is used to directly respond to victims of natural disasters. Biden says that $40 billion should be enough to address those issues that are currently happening and get the agency through fiscal year 2025. The next biggest budget request was for the Agriculture Department. Biden asked for $24 billion to help farmers who lost crops and livestock in the recent hurricanes or because of drought or wildfires. There's also a request for $8 billion for repair for highways, bridges, and federally owned roads that were damaged by these natural disasters. And about $2 billion was requested for the Small Business Administration, which is also responsible for distributing low-interest loans to business owners and homeowners to get back on their feet after these natural disasters. Now, if you remember, when those two hurricanes hit, Congress was on recess. Speaker Johnson refused to call Congress back into session to address these disaster funding issues for these victims, and instead he said Congress would deal with it after the election. Well, we're after the election and Congress is back in session, so they have to deal with it now. But how they deal with it is the question. Just because Biden asked for $100 billion does not mean that's what Congress is going to allocate to those agencies. It's also worth noting that this isn't the only major funding issue lawmakers are dealing with right now. They're also trying to avoid a government shutdown scheduled for December 20th.